Hello, my name is Turlock, and welcome back to the channel. Now, it's been a while since my last video, which was my final episode for my Galacticraft Adventure series. Now, that was a little while ago, as of recording this video, but before I get into this video, I just want to explain how you actually get and download these Celestial packs if you're not in the Galaxy Space Discord already. So first, just visit the description below and you'll see the Discord link for Galaxy Space. And then after joining the Discord, you need to find the section where it says Players Showcase. Click on that and then click on Kepler Series Updated Celestial Pack. You'll see it in my forum post with this video attached. And then below that, there should be the download links. Now, what's different about these packs versus the original pack is the fact that they're separated now. So Kepler 22, Kepler 442, and Kepler 452 are now their own individual packs, and the mods are updated. So make sure you would download the correct ones from there. But once you do that, you just need to make sure you have Galacticraft installed, the latest version like 4.0.7, Galaxy Space 2.1.5, as Media's Core 1.0.3, and StarMaker 1.0.2. Make sure you have all those, including Mixins. Don't forget, actually, what's it called? It's like right here. Make sure you have the latest version now. I don't have the latest version of Galacticraft, but I would suggest you'd have the latest version, 4.0.7. And look, I have the latest version of Media's Core and StarMaker 1.0.2. I'm just reviewing this so that people don't get confused, and Galaxy Space 2.1.5. Now I have my trusty old IC2 quantum suit and my oxygen equipment and thermal padding protection. So let's get into this. Now, I actually need to get there first, and let me just modify this tier 6 rocket, because in order to get here with default settings, you need a sublight engine. So I'm gonna attach it to the tier 6, and just like that. Okay, this should have fuel in it. It's creative. Yeah, okay, let's go. Alright, the first system, which has a few changes, is Kepler 22. Now, it's going to take a little bit, just because the boost is at 106, and by default, with the tier 6 rocket, I believe the boost is ×6, but when you add the sublight engine modification, it turns into 106, so the sublight engine adds 100 extra in the boost number here. Alright, so after waiting for some time, I finally arrived to Kepler 22, and now wait, oh yeah, okay, that was strange for a moment. As you can see, when you visit Kepler 22b, it's just all ocean. That because it's an ocean world or Haitian world, whatever you want to call it. But you have to make sure when you want to leave that you make a platform above the water, otherwise you're not going to be able to escape. So as you can see, it's just an entire body of water, and I don't even know if I can see. So let me just give myself some night vision, and yeah, it takes a long time to come back down. But the first change I want to point out is I got rid of the extinct hydrothermal vents, just because I didn't think it would match the ocean floor for this planet. I mean, compressed ice, I don't think it would make sense to have those. So I decided to get rid of it. As you can see, you don't see any more of the hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor. Now it's just compressed ice everywhere. And if you actually want to dig through, you need some powerful tools, otherwise it'll take a while, especially when you're underwater. So of course, you need to make a platform, and you don't have extra utilities where you can use the angel block. You might have a hard time actually doing all this, especially if you don't have the quantum suit like I do, if you don't have Industrial Craft 2 installed. So now, let's build out the advanced launch pad. Let's get out of here. Alright, and then after that, Kepler 442 is next. Well, you don't have to do what I'm doing, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to do what I did last time and go straight to Kepler 442. And there's some changes. I think the temperature was changed a little bit. And I changed the planet texture. It used to be where like 25% of Kepler 442 was dark, the texture, and then the other 75% was brighter, the day side, but I think I like this better. And of course, since I'm in creative, it will teleport me instantly, but once I land on the surface, you'll immediately recognize the changes, and I'll go through them. The surface is quite different from the original Kepler 442 that I made, the first iteration anyways. So as you can see, there's actually this beach now, and it's not ocean sediment. The ocean sediment's like down there. That darker color, but not the completely dark color, that's the deep ocean. The ocean biome's right here. It's more shallow than the deep, you can tell right over there. But yeah, this is the beach, and you can see this is a new block, red sand. And this wasn't entirely intentional, but I decided to have these little pools here of water. It's pretty interesting. So I just talked about 3 biomes so far. Deep ocean, which I'll show a little later. Ocean, and then the beach. Next is this plains biome, and then you immediately recognize that it's completely different from before. And you also have these new trees. There are 2 trees types. Cedar trees and these willows. Think of the willows as weeping willows. You can Google that to figure out what I'm talking about. But cedar. Now, this is kind of like a strange looking cedar tree, but just think of it as in like an alien tree of some sort. I accidentally went through the viola. But yeah, this was pretty difficult to make in M Creator just because it's not easy to make the leaves, and well, the wood is easy to make, but not the leaves to function like an actual leaf block. Yeah, there are 4 variants of the cedar tree. This is the biggest variant, and that I think over here, this might be the same, but here's the second largest, and then there's 2 smaller ones for the total of 4. So if you do some exploring, you'll recognize the different varieties. 4 types. And I made these using, let me change this, using a tree node, which was a little bit annoying, I will say that. But yeah, you can obtain these in survival, but this is, if you have JEI installed, you can obtain this, and it just grows. It's kind of loud, let me lower it a little bit. Just grows the tree. Sometimes it doesn't spawn, so occasionally they spawn, but not like a lot over in the willow biome. And that's not actually the willow biome, it's called the forest. But as you can see, this is the plains, and I think I did a great job. It used to be called the chert biome. I called it the chert biome, but now it's just plains. I would have grass, but the best I could do is this dirt because grass doesn't work the way I want it to in StarMaker. It generates like 2 layers for the surface block instead of 1, which is not what I want, but that's something that the developer for StarMaker needs to change if they ever decide to change that. But as you can see, the chert gravel still spawns here occasionally, and you may notice the pink lily is not here anymore because I removed that. That's now an actual water lily. I'm not sure why I made it a literal plant when it should be a lily. You can still place it, I guess, but you can't harvest it in survival. Like, let me change my game mode. Yeah, you can't harvest it at all. It's not obtainable, which is the intention here. So yeah, you still have the red mustard, the red solanum, and then the red viola, the fescue grass, and the red tall grass, all that fun stuff. So once you're done exploring the plains biome, you find yourself in this biome with more trees. So as you can see, these are willows, and the original intention here for these trees, I actually had them with a bunch of vines all around, but unfortunately, because I'm using a tree node procedure from mCreator, there is no way for that procedure to check for the ground and whether to dig into the ground or just break the vine so it doesn't make these holes. But when I had the vines here, they'd actually just make holes like this. You would see where the tree would be placed, and that didn't look good, so unfortunately I had to compromise there. But it still looks pretty good without the vines. Now if it actually had vines, you know, it would have looked better, but it is what it is, so just keep that in mind. And again, these willow trees, there are 4 variants, and you can spot how you tell there are 4 variants is by the top layers of the leaves. So this is the biggest one, I believe, the biggest size of willows, and then the second biggest, third, fourth, so on. And there's also a willow tree node. So if you want to just play around with this, if you have this mod and you have cheats on, you can just like that, just like that. And yeah, as you can see, sometimes it breaks itself because it doesn't always want to generate, and that's intentional just so that it doesn't get too cluttered here. But you can tell it looks more like a forest. And let me just say one thing here. If you were to break the whole entire tree, wanted to collect the wood, you can do that. And this was actually pretty difficult to figure out. But as you can see, the leaves decay just kind of slowly. You can see it's decaying. If I break it, it does help speed it up. A little more slow than I thought. It's actually random tick speed. If I set it to 5,000, you see it does decay. So these trees do function like regular vanilla trees, just a little bit slower, the decay rate. I just set it back to 3. And they do drop saplings. And these saplings are unique because, for example, the willow saplings only like to grow on red soil. So let me use bone meal. And bone meal should work on this. And particle's a little bit weird, but somewhat similar to vanilla. You can grow it, and what you can actually do is, if you wanted to have a little museum or capsule, you can just take the red soil home and then plant the willow sapling and then use bone meal on it. But these only grow on red soil, so if I try to grow this on chert, it will break itself. And the same thing applies for cedar saplings. So if I break this tree here, it should start decaying. And if I, well, actually there's one log here. Oops, accidentally went to some flowers there. 5,000, just to speed it up. You can see it does decay a little slow, but still functions like a regular tree, behaves like a tree, I should say. And these grow only in or on red chert dirt. So if you try to grow the cedar on red soil, breaks. If you try to grow willow on chert dirt, well, it doesn't grow. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense to you, just in case if you wanted to grow these in the overworld or someplace else. Now, as you can see, I kept it simple here. I only used red fescue grass and red tall grass. I didn't clutter the forest biome too much, just enough where you can tell looks like it's alive and stuff like that. Now let's keep going this way, and now you can see the 2-block tall plants here, the red abelia and the red agonis, and this is a new biome. It's like a more of a transition biome between the mountains. The mountains are right here. They look a lot better. They actually have snow now. That's a new change. And there's a new block there, alpine stone. Kind of an interesting name, but it's there nonetheless. And this, I would call it the loam, L-O-A-M biome. And underneath this loam biome, it's loamy subsoil. So these plants here only grow on this, I think. Yeah, so I mean, you can't even harvest it to begin with. It shouldn't be obtainable in survival. It's more of a decoration. Sorry guys. So yeah, but I did keep the glowing properties, the bioluminescent properties there, but it is pretty. I will say that I did a good job with the transition here compared to the previous version of the pack. And okay, the mountains. Now there's a little bit of a surprise over here, so unless you have a jetpack, it might be difficult to traverse this terrain, but if you see on the minimap as I progress forward, there's this valley here. Now this is a new biome here, and well, I used to use some of these blocks for the top of a weird looking mountain biome for the original pack, but it's changed now, and there are new flower types here, 4 new types: alpine, arnica, and then foxgloves. And some of these give you positive and negative effects. Like this one gives you blindness 2 for like 15 seconds, so make sure you don't mess around with this one, especially in the nighttime if you're here. Okay, and there's a lot more orange gravel here, and there's a new block here, rocky soil, as well as the changed texture surface stone. I like this more than the previous texture in my opinion. And the surface iron ore re-added, but the texture was changed too. So foxgloves, arnica, and then these plants here, pretty sure these give you night vision, so they're rare. They're actually pretty rare. 30 seconds of night vision. And then over here, what is this? Oh yeah, okay. Those don't give you any effects. Yeah, I would say 4 new flowers, and then you can find the pink lilies over here. They actually rarely spawn top of these little pools here. I think I did a good job around here. It looks pretty nice if you ask me. Adds more meaning to this whole exploration of this dimension, I would say. And look, quite a few pink lilies here, and they also still have the glowing properties, or the bioluminescent properties. It's a pretty interesting biome concept if you ask me, and let's see what happens when you set it to nighttime. Hopefully that's the right time. Okay, not yet. Okay, and you can see they're glowing already. So this place is pretty dark at night, but I would say it is pretty unique here, especially with these mountains, these tall mountains. That's for sure. So I would say it'd be pretty fun to go around exploring especially if you're doing in survival. Maybe you can even set up a base here, or you can set up a base inside the mountain. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. Now, let me just remind you that these valley biomes, as well as the mountains, are kind of rare. You don't always find it when you're on the surface, so just keep that in mind. But you will find different variations of this. Sometimes you will find this biome in the exact coordinates I'm in. Sometimes you won't. It just depends. The randomization's a little bit different. And look, these foxgloves happen to glow a little bit. You can tell it gives off some light. Pretty interesting. Okay, let's go this way. Back to the other side of these mountains. These mountains are pretty dang tall. And, well, you can see all the glowing 2-block tall plants on the other side, and it is quite a view here. Now, my game will start lagging a tad bit, but let me increase my render distance, and yeah. I mean, look at this view here. Well, it's still loading in, but you can see all the glowing plants here. I think that's the agonis. Yeah, it's beautiful, I would say. It's quite the view here. Imagine what this looks like with shaders. I don't know if shaders would work with this, but I mean, I think this is a pretty good job that I did. So let me lower it. It's just a little bit of a stutter there. Okay, now if I go back, let me go back over here to the plains. We can't forget the plains biome. It is glowing. And at nighttime it is beautiful here too. And yeah, I have mobs turned off. So if you're here, you'll find overworld mobs spawning here, and you just gotta be careful. There's no like animals, no sheep, none of that. The original idea was to add some maybe alien mobs, but I thought that was kind of ridiculous. So the only danger here is really these mobs. Now I'll make my way back to the ocean where the beaches are, and let's go see the deep ocean. Although I'll warn you, it is a little bit disappointing, the changes that were made versus the expectations here. Now if I actually go down here, not a whole lot has changed. There are more coral blocks spawning, I would say, and there are actually these hydrothermal vent structures that spawn more rarely. Instead of like the same frequency as these corals, you find these occasionally. And the biggest disappointment here, let me just turn my night vision, or add night vision to my game. The biggest disappointment here is I actually wanted to add a bunch of water life here, water flora, but I couldn't do it with Fluid Locked API, the latest version, as of making this video, just because there were issues when they were placed down with StarMaker. Sometimes it wasn't waterlogged properly, and there were some performance issues. I mean, in the original versions or previous versions, like version 2, it was working fine, but there were some other issues, like with Galacticraft oil and fuel. The textures were weird. So yeah, that's the biggest disappointment. And I actually had all the water flora ready to go, and they were already placed here, but it didn't work out. So unfortunately, I had to leave these out yet again. But I'd say this is better than what it was before. So, but it just goes to show that nothing can go according to plan. And well, my creativity for such things, especially in StarMaker, can hit a wall. So yeah, I mean, overall I think I did a good job with Kepler 442. This, I would say, is my magnum opus, in my opinion. I put a lot of work into this, and well, yeah, I think that's everything I need to show you guys in terms of Kepler 442b. The last is, I would get some milk. The last is Kepler 452b, and let me just set it to daytime again. But yeah, I think people will really like this dimension it's the most beautiful. I mean, look at it. And it has trees, like almost nobody has trees in their StarMaker dimension. So yeah, let's get going. Alright. Finally, Kepler 452b. And if I didn't already mention it, the planet textures for 452 and 442b are different. I changed this one, and I also changed Kepler 442. And that looked better, in my opinion. And the temperatures of all three were changed as well. I forgot to mention that, I think. So, Kepler 452b is much hotter than before. So, but that doesn't really affect you too much. If you have a spacesuit and all the equipment that I have, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Or if you have an equivalent spacesuit. But as you can see, 81 degrees Celsius, and it's slowly but surely rising. Yeah. The surface is now different. It's no longer breathable here. That was intentional, and I had to change what little flora that's still here, like the dead grass and all these dry plants. These are actually full blocks, but you can walk through them. They're not obtainable, but some of them do drop sticks like before. So yeah, if you come here without oxygen, then yeah, you'll start taking damage and eventually die if you don't have your oxygen equipment. But as you can see, the surface is different than before. That's for sure. And I added just a new block for Kepler 452b, and that is this sand here. And the biomes are a lot larger than before, and I think this looks way better than what it was before. The mountains, or whatever you want to call these, look different. They look a little better than before. It's similar to Kepler 442b, the blending here looks much better, and you still have the occasional blocks of slate rock with the surface stone. And another thing you might notice is I removed the water ponds. Now I know, or the lake gen. I removed all the lakes just so that it looked better, the surface, and I know someone suggested they wanted to have those, but, well, sometimes the water would spawn in odd spots. I mean, if I try placing water, will it die? Well, I guess not now. But sometimes the water would leak, and it would do this sort of behavior, and I didn't like that. Oh, well. Now it reached the point where it just boils instantly. Okay. So, see? Even if I had water, it would all evaporate away. So yeah, now this planet is much hotter than before, and let's go to this other biome here that you're more familiar with if you played this pack, if you used this pack before. Cracked soil, and there's a lot less of these dead bushes and dry flower bushes that spawn here. They're sparse. And over here, there's this new biome. It's like a transition biome here, where surface rock and the actual mountains here, you can tell it's an extension of this biome right here. It's just more flat. Alrighty, the last thing I want to mention for Kepler 442b is that you can actually craft cedar planks, willow planks, and you can make stone, the alpine stone, and the stone bricks, as well as the stone bricks. So if you look up Kepler 442b with your JEI mod, you can see that you can craft willow planks, as well as you can craft cedar planks with this wood, though you can't use this for creating crafting tables or sticks, and the same applies for the cobblestone. You can't use that for making furnaces, and these blocks are more for decoration. more than anything, as you can see here. Should match up with the wood type. And then stone here, you got cobblestone when you mine the stone, and then you can make stone bricks with the stone here. So yeah, as you can see, and the same thing applies with the surface stone. Let me just pull up the surface stone just so I can show you. Like so. So yeah, these are decoration. If you wanted to use them, you can. You can build a house with these on Kepler 442p if you wanted to. Alright, well, that wraps up the video there. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.